Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this because today we are setting the stage for something absolutely fascinating. This is a special scriptural prologue to Vedmata AI's upcoming, highly anticipated presentation on the Mahayakshini Sadhana Shastra. We're going to explore the profound ancient world of Yakshinis right from the classical scriptures, breaking down their history, their forms, and exactly how they were revered.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, exploring the Yakshini Sadhana tradition. Second, Yakshinis in the scriptures. Third, forms, worship, and mantras. Fourth, the spiritual context. And finally, caution and authentic sources. It's a highly structured educational journey, making sure we stick to a responsible, scriptural study of these incredible ancient texts.
All right, Section 1. Exploring the Yakshini Sadhana tradition, its ancient roots. You know, this tradition isn't just some localized temporary blip in history. It stretches way back into antiquity, actually spanning across major spiritual paths like Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism. So let's clearly define what we actually mean when we say Yakshini, pulling straight from the historical texts. In medieval Tantric literature, a Yakshini is basically described as a female guardian spirit or a goddess of wealth. Now, in the Jain tradition, they're categorized specifically as a Vyantardev. And it's super important to understand that to ancient people, these weren't just made-up mythological figures. No, they were positioned as very real, powerful caretakers, guardians, and providers of worldly benefits to their devoted practitioners.
Moving on to Section 2, Yakshinis in the Scriptures, tracing the origins.
Let's look at how these entities are physically described and documented across different sacred texts over the centuries. And this brilliantly illustrates their evolution across different faiths. So on the Buddhist and Hindu side, they have ancient origins tied really closely to nature. We see them described in texts like the Jatakas as Ruka Devata, basically tree goddesses, often standing right beside trees as lavish symbols of fertility and wealth. Now contrast that with Jainism, where their role is highly specific. They are Adhisthayaka, which means dedicated caretakers. They possess Samyak TV, right faith, and actually serve as the anointed guardians of the revered Tirthankaras. It's just so fascinating to see how ancient minds conceptualize the divine as deeply intertwined with both nature and spiritual guardianship.
Section 3 already. Forms, worship, and mantras inside the Kakshaputa Tantra.
Now we're shifting gears to a strictly objective documentary-style look at specific historical rituals. When you dive into medieval texts like the Kakshaputa Tantra, the rules for practitioners were incredibly strict. We're talking extensive mantra recitation right at the base of a banyan or vata tree. Practitioners had to prepare super specific offerings like vibrant banduka flowers, honey, clarified butter, and milk, and offer them into a fire. Now, we are looking at these purely as historical artifacts today, but man, they really show the intense devotion and precise methodologies ancient practitioners followed. I mean, just imagine the absolute dedication it took to try and connect with these guardian spirits under those kinds of stringent conditions.
Now, what's really interesting here is that we are looking at an actual surviving text. This is a snippet detailing the Mahayakshini Sadhana in authentic Hindi script. Texts like these are literal historical treasures. They preserve the exact mantras, the rigorous fasting instructions, and the precise conditions that were believed to invoke the blessings of these powerful female entities. Seeing the authentic scripts just brings all of that history to life, right in front of us.
Let's actually read a direct translation of a practitioner's plea from these ancient pages. It says, "O goddess, I am tormented by poverty. Please become the one who destroys that for me." This was a specific plea to the Surasundari Yakshini. It's profoundly human, isn't it? Beneath all the complex tantric rituals, these scriptures reveal the exact same fundamental, universal human desires for wealth, health, and security that drove these ancient practices in the first place.
Let's jump to Section 4, the spiritual context, hierarchy and reverence. So now that we understand who they are and how they were historically worshipped, we really need to understand where Yakshinis fit within the broader theological hierarchy. Take a look at this mapping of Tirthankaras and their designated guardians. Notice some of the specific, famous pairings here, like Tirthankara Parshvanatha paired with his devoted caretaker Padmavati, or the first Tirthankara Rishabhadeva, guarded by Chakrasvari. This perfectly demonstrates that in this tradition, Yakshinis have very distinct, anointed roles as protectors of the spiritual path. They aren't the supreme deities themselves, they're the dedicated sentinels of the enlightened.
But here is a critical theological boundary explicitly stated in the texts. While Yakshinis are undeniably powerful, the scriptures dictate that the absolute highest reverence belongs to the Tirthankaras, the Siddhas, and the monks. In fact, guidelines specifically say that you should never bow down to a Yakshini idol if it's placed directly in front of a Tirthankara. The spiritual rank always has to be kept in proper perspective.
Which brings us to our final section. Section 5, Caution and Authentic Sources, the Path of Devotion.
Now, I want to make a very serious pivot here. We've explored the fascinating history and the powerful claims made in these medieval texts, but we absolutely must address how this knowledge is handled by seekers today. So, the crucial point is this official Vedmata AI disclaimer. The mantras and methods we've discussed today are purely scriptural references. They are an academic and historical study, full stop. Vedmata AI does not endorse any practical Yakshini sadhana without a qualified guide. Practical sadhana strictly requires an authentic guru's initiation and a very deep, structured scriptural understanding. Attempting these ancient practices unguided is simply not recommended. Our goal here is grounded safely in respect, caution, and devotion to authentic historical sources.
So, that brings us to the end of our prologue, leaving us with this final thought. Are you ready to safely and respectfully explore the profound depths of ancient tantric knowledge? Keep this caution and devotion in mind as you tune in to Vedmata AI's upcoming, comprehensive presentation on the Mahayakshini Sadhana Shastra. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and keep